Hi everyone, welcome to the revolution.
Happy to be here.
Yes, it wouldn't be a revolution without you. I think you're all here because you know society's a little bit out of balance, or very out of balance. Do you know that?
Yes.
Yeah.
We've noticed.
Society, yeah.
Yes.
It's really obvious. We're so called.
There have been signs.
We have big signs, and we're so called to do something about it. We have needs from Maslow, and we talk about how shelter is a need, and it's sort of a need in our society. And we also know that the trajectory of our society is going to price out huge percentages of our population, and it already is doing that. And we all know that, we all feel that. That's the structural violence that's taking place in society at the, if you boiled it down and simplified it into what it looks like. It's this ever worsening housing affordability trajectory. And that feels like less and less chance of our friends, family, other people in our community surviving. Yeah. None of us really accept that. We don't like seeing our friends and family suffering. We don't want to live in a society where our children can't afford to live, we can barely afford to live. We don't like it. We don't really accept it. But we also know that our leaders and our structures and our institutions in society aren't doing enough to fix it. So we live with this bad truth that not enough is going to be done to fix it, and it's unacceptable to us in our hearts with our fellow humans. The system has failed.
Yeah.
Yep, I can tell. You can tell. We can feel it. So how do we rewire it? How do we fix it? How do we make it not fail? How do we make it not shit? How do we reverse this damage? How do we transform society from where it is now to where it would be aligned with our hearts, where we would be accepting of yes, now we're on the right trajectory. How do we get there? Especially with all the institutions and everything working against us. The whole system's working sort of against us. And I'm going to explain that to you in a way that's not political, that we can feel raw and energetically, okay? So, power is, and one way you can measure power is how much energy is spread over an area, okay? So how much energy is over an area? I've put a lot of energy into this place, and I want to charge you with power. Charge you with power. And power and energy is very synonymous in our society with money and currency. So when you have a lot of money, when you have something that's worth a lot of money, it tends to grow in value, right? It tends to grow in value faster than wages, such as houses being a critical one. But also, any sort of single body of money, and that's why you see billionaires accumulate more wealth. That's why you see the trillionaire Elon Musk. Because all these forces are just masses of energy, and they suck the energy into it. And what that feels like for people who are smaller masses, like the day-to-day person, or the median salary person, or anyone, that feels like force being exerted on you. The same way, if you're approaching a black hole, you'll be having this sucked out of you, right? And that's sort of what's happening in society in mass through the way it's structured. Now that we have an understanding of the way the energy is flowing, what can we do about it? See, we live in a debt-based system. So every society is in debt. The more powerful those with more money have. So the rich essentially lend money to the banks, and the banks lend money to the people, and then the people borrow the money to buy a $1.1 million house, to then pay $2.5 million of interest, to then get crushed throughout their 30-year life. So that system's broken, and is kind of what's at the core of it. So if we can rewire that, we can start to heal the rest of society. And here's how I propose we do it. So I started a housing charity, a tax-deductible housing charity. And I started it to be a vessel. And I linked up with anyone that I can use to help raise attention and salience to come together for a revolution of compassion and make housing a human right and fix it for everyone and rewire it. So I know it sounds ridiculous, but I joined a major content creator named Punters Politics. Started last year, went to Canberra, met with politicians. I've done the work. I've got 3 other creators who are members of the charity with me, and we're going to use it as a vessel of solidarity. And what we can do with that once enough of us come together, once enough of us realize that this problem is not going to get any better until we do this, once enough people realize it, then I've already got supply chain modular builders in every state, international builders ready to go. Yeah. And then we can start building these co-op villages. And my plan is we do them all as like affordable rentals for a couple of years. Anyone lives there, could be you. And you're paying 25% of your income, and we cycle that back into the same engine, this economic engine, and then that is used to build more co-op villages, and we do that for a couple of years, and then if everyone's happy, you want to rent to buy that, and then we change it from like an affordable rental. Now they can rent to buy it pretty much at the same rate, but with no interest. So now we are really competitive with the banks, and we've got a home ownership path that's not debt-based, it's just living. And that's going to be a really attractive alternative once enough people realize what we're talking about. Attention is a form of energy in itself. It's one of the most powerful. Attention can shift anything we want in society if we have enough of it. There's a few different ways for revolution been sort of studied and understood. One of them everyone thinks of, is a common one everyone thinks of as a violent one. And that's going to be really hard when they have drones. Violence begets violence. You start with violence and you lead with violence and then you end up with violence again. And today is the 250th birthday of America. There was an essay written that studied the rise and fall of empires. They only last about 250 years. They start off with good intentions, or they start violently, they try to have good intentions, and then they end up trash again. And I really want us to learn from our mistakes in society. And a lot of those mistakes have come from people creating structures for their own power gain, such as patriarchy. And then that creates this sort of toxic direction, and it enables and it almost encourages toxic behaviors in humanity. So like, why are so many people at the top such, like Epstein files and all this sort of stuff? Like, the toxic stuff is rising, and it's calling out to people who are standing on the opposite side and saying, nah, I have to stand against that. And I think a lot of you probably feel that. One of the things I've learned that's always helped me is really being values-led and embodying values. And I've come up with 7 values that I'm really embodying. I've always embodied, but I've kind of really conceitualized and put names to them. So I'm going to share those 7 values with you. It's really easy. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay. A is for alchemy. So we're transforming. We're at a critical point in society, and it's time to transform. B is for bangarang. If you guys have seen Hook, or remember the Skrillex song? That means like to cause a ruckus. It's like we're not happy with this, and we will do whatever it takes to fight it. C is for Kulomon, which is a First Nations word, and it means to nurture and carry. And that's like I love nurturing. I love caring. I think it's really powerful. I think it actually. I will prove it that it's going to be more powerful than all this bullshit that's currently winning. D is for Dadiri, which is another First Nation word, which means deep listening. It's like we really have to take a step and understand each other, connect to our hearts, understand the problem really deeply, talking to the person and connecting with them and empathizing. Dadiri. E is for Ekagrata, which is a yogic principle, which means to be fully gathered on a precise focus. And that's how you create impact. Because the more precise you are, like the more impact you can have. It's like a knife. Another story. F is for Fukinsei, which is a Japanese concept which means to act despite imperfection. So like, my content's not very polished, I don't give a fuck, it's the most important problem society is facing, we need to work on it. So I post single takes, bring people together. So, Fukinsei, act with it despite perfection. Who cares? Just go. It's important, just go.
Now's the time.
And G is for Giri, which is another Japanese concept which means service to the collective. So yeah, being values-led, rewiring the home ownership journey, revolution of compassion, coming together to change and transform the way society feels and operates systemically, and through enough solidarity, transforming the reality that we're in. Yeah. Thank you very much for coming, sharing this space with me.